So we are going to go ahead and record this session so we can send it out to other families who were unable to attend. But thank you so much for the learning coaches who are here with us. Just a brief introduction. My name's Melissa Smith. I'm the academic principal for grades 7 through 12. So if you haven't heard of me, chances are you might a little bit more when your student gets to high school. But we are just so happy to have you here. And what we are going to do is we understand that this information that we're about to give you is kind of a lot of information, the changes that have been made for the new diploma starting with your student's class. Um, they're big changes, but in the same way, they're things that we've been preparing for a long time. So we feel really ready to get your student to where he or she or they need to be in order to be successful with those. And we also have some really great counselors who are going to be there to help walk your student and yourself along this journey. So we're actually kind of excited about them because I think they align really well with our mission and what we want to do for students to get them prepared for both the college and the career, and then they get to have options and choices from there. So I am just going to, we have our counselors, they are on with us right now. Also, we have our licensed social worker, and then my assistant principal is on. She's going to be running us through this presentation. And then we also have our special education director as well and our EL teacher of record. We just wanted to make sure that we had all of the people who are going to be with you and your student through this journey, offering support and different services as they make that big transition from middle school to high school. We want to make sure that they um, can start off on the right path and feel very supported and successful. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Susan.
Hello, everyone. I am Susan Cookie, the assistant principal here at HCCA, and we're really excited to share a little bit about our school overall. And so, our mission statement is kind of in the short term, kind of the here and the now. And so, I'm sure that maybe you, as an eighth grade parent, have seen this before. We do share this out regularly with our students and also parents. But our goal is to provide our students with a very personalized learning experience, no matter where they are in the state of Indiana. And that's what has driven a lot of our focus for our changes, as we're going to talk about. And then our vision statement, the future focus or forward focus, we really want to prepare your student for whatever lies ahead outside of eighth grade and outside of high school into the future as well. So, transitioning to high school, what does this look like? It can kind of be scary and exciting at the same time. We know as a staff, we're really excited for your student, but I'm sure as a parent, you might have a little bit of anxiety and apprehension, or maybe you're ready to shoo them out of the house already. We'll kind of let you decide that. But we want to let you know that as they get into high school, grades will start to transition into credits. And this is why grades are going to become so important for them because it's not just a pass fail situation or they're going to be retained. Whereas grades in high school then equal if they do not pass with a 60% or better in a particular course, they may need to retake that if it is a high school graduation requirement. So that's kind of an important piece of that too. And also too, it will start to factor into their GPA. So that means their grade point average overall. With the new diploma requirements, we're also taking a look at attendance, and that's per the state. And so, no more than 3 unexcused absences. So, this is why your student in school every day and minutes actually do matter. So, just letting you know a little bit about that. We also do have assessments, and we have both virtual assessments throughout the school year and also in-person assessments as well. And so the virtual assessments will take place 3 times a year, beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year. And we're using the NWEA for that for 9th through 11th graders next year. And then we have in-person testing and at various levels and for different purposes In the fall, we have the PSAT for the 10th graders, and then anyone who is enrolled in biology will take the I Learned Biology test. And then when they are in their junior year of school, they will take the SAT test. So, just a little bit about assessments themselves. We do try to send out that information much in advance and let you know. Many of you have already been contacted for the I Learn test as well. And so that is going to be happening currently for our eighth graders next week. So we're excited to see them in person. A little bit about our school and how we are a prep school. So, a career and college prep school. We really are tailor focused to making sure that our students have a lot of information and have a lot of experiences through their homerooms, through providing them with career expos and career fairs, through giving them different pathway experiences. And I have the pathways listed here. I'm not going to go through all of them currently, but we have a lot of opportunity even within those pathways for dual credit, which means college credit at the high school level, also industry certifications, guest speakers within those industries, simulations within those industries. So, a lot of ways that we can have our students learning a little bit on the front end before they would actually take a college course or get out into a workforce job. And then this is just kind of a little bit of an idea of maybe what your student schedule might look like on the high school side. So they won't just have their core classes anymore. And some of your students currently might have preparing for college and careers or health. We're going to be expanding that out in the high school. They have a few more opportunities to take more classes. And then we also have rotation days. So some of our classes meet every day and some meet on a rotation day. So this gives you just a little taste and flavor of what it possibly could look like on those particular days, back and forth. And then our counselors. Do we want any of our counselors or introduce our counselors?
You
Well,
just
hopefully
say
you've
our
met
name.
some of them already, but yes, they can go ahead for sure and introduce themselves.
I can go ahead and start, and then we can go to Mrs. Chestnut and then just go alphabetically and split the last names. So I am Mrs. Weiss. I'm lead counselor. I also have some students. So I have super seniors and I have alternate diploma students. And then Mrs. Chestnut, I'll go ahead and kick it over to you.
My name is Mrs. Chestnut, and I work with our alternative program students.
My name is Mrs. Kramer. I have students with the last names A through D.
Hi there. My name is Mrs. Corley, and I have students with the last names E through K.
Hello, I'm Miss Christ, Carly Christ, and I am the school counselor for last names L through R.
And last is me, Tommy Jo Leisner. I work with students, last names S through Z. So feel free to reach out to us if you need anything. We'd be glad to help you.
Thank you. I love that. So, I do have in the presentation that will be shared out with you all of their contact information as well. So that way you have that nice and handy for you. And they are fabulous. So, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of our counselors. They are more than willing to help. And then I'm going to kick it on over to Erica Stevens.
Hi, thanks for attending tonight. I wanted to include pictures of our support team. These are all of the special education teachers that are here at Hoosier, and we've kind of got their grade levels below. The ones that are starred, Hannah Jolly, Teresa Thompson, and Abby Ford handle our 9th through 10th graders, and they team up to make sure that we do services that in math and English, language arts, we're doing push-in services and things of that nature. So you will hear from one teacher of record, but all 3 of them service our students. At the top, obviously a picture of myself, and then Deb Fisher does our 504. So if any of your students have a 504, you would be speaking with her and working with her on their annual meetings. Annie Wickersham handles all of our case conferences each year. And then Emily Thiesing is our school psychologist. So just kind of gives a name with a face so that you recognize them if someone calls next year or emails you. Go ahead, Susan. So in high school, if your child's receiving services now, it's very similar, but a little bit more independence on their part because they'll have 6 classes most likely, and they'll be going between teacher to teacher and not have as much hand holding as in high school as they did in middle school because they're getting older. So same as always, they'll have a special education homeroom. It's the same content that is taught in all the other homerooms, but an emphasis on those independent skills, transitions, things of that nature. We'll still be doing push-in services where we go into their classes and help them. Typically, the teacher will teach them, we'll pull them to a back table at the end, help get the work done, answer questions, things of that nature. They'll still have their small group resource time and open office hours. Additional services, next year they'll be able to book a time with their special education teacher. There'll be open times throughout the week that they can book if they want extra time. And then in addition to our office hours, the general education teachers also have office hours. So lots of ways to communicate with us, parent-teacher conferences, case conference, email, phone, text, all the usuals. I have a freshman here this year, and the level of independence that he is displaying now compared to the beginning of the year, it took a hot minute, but it has been vital. So in high school, we really want the students to start advocating for themselves. Obviously, sometimes parents have to step in. It's just the nature of the beast of having children. But we want, if they don't see a class on their schedule they're supposed to have, or maybe a teacher doesn't know about an accommodation or isn't providing that accommodation, or they have particular questions about an assignment, we want the students to send the email, to send the text, to call, whatever form of contact they choose. Encourage them to do that. I always, in the beginning, asked my son to show me because I didn't want him to speak like he does on his social media apps and things like that to his friends. I wanted it to be professional, but now he just does it on his own. If he has a problem, he contacts the teacher. And we say, start with the gen ed teacher and work your way out to your special ed teacher, unless it's special ed specific. The teachers here are fabulous about responding. And the more the student reaches out, the better their educational experience is going to be, because if we don't know about it, we can't help them. So we're here to help, we're ready to help, but also just, partnering with us to teach the kids to reach out and tell us what they need in addition to their typical services so that we can be of extra help whenever they're needing it. That's it, Mrs. Cookie.
All right. So last week, your students had an opportunity to participate in some homeroom activities and assemblies where we gave them lots of information. And we know that all of this can seem a little bit overwhelming. And that's why we're going to be pushing out some information to you to look over when you have some time and some space, and can even sit down even with your student to do that as well. So on Monday, they got an opportunity to meet one of their high school teachers, our dear Mr. Tim Casper, who teaches algebra, and we absolutely adore him. And they went through a little bit about the why grades matter and what that will look like for their core teachers, kind of a little intro to them. They had lunch possibly with student council if they wanted to get in and start asking some questions of their soon-to-be peers at the high school level. And then on Tuesday, we had a counselor session, and they talked all about the different types of buckets and diploma updates, and also their course options. And then again, lunch with student council. Wednesday, we had pathway presentations with them. They got a chance to see who possibly could be their CTE teachers and important reasons why CTE might kind of be a focus for some of them and what those courses might look like. And then on Thursday, we talked about the new graduation seals and what that looks like for them as well. And with a heavy emphasis on each of the SEALs, each of the different levels for them, and what a typical ninth grade schedule might look like for them. On Friday, they had an opportunity to go into what we call our K-12 zone, which is a social media kind of platform for our school, where they got a chance to engage in writing their name on a wall and putting their career or college goals on a Padlet wall and being able to share that out. We have some more fun activities planned for your current eighth grader at iLearn specifically. And so we're looking forward to being able to continue to celebrate them as we are promoting them, graduating them into then the ninth grade. So we do want to just share out some information with you, and we will, like I said, give you some handouts and things like that to give you more information to look at, because as we get going, we know that this can be a lot of information. And Melissa, at any time, let me know if you want to jump in or kind of take over. So we have here this graphic that we will share out with you. This is just a comparison of what our current diploma is on the left-hand side. And then on the right-hand side, specifically, this is the left-hand side, the Core 40. This is our current students in the high school. And then what your student, kind of the future there, that's what they will then be focused on. And then here's our SEALs. So, what kind of drove our decisions for selecting classes? It was really the graduation SEALs that was our main focus for how are we selecting our classes and how are we going to offer our different courses moving forward for the students. Of course, we always look at funding sources, what is virtually approved for us, the students' needs and those cohort years. So your graduating class, your eighth grader, is going to be 2029. That's kind of a scary thing when we think about kind of that future name out there. And you might want to start already kind of thinking in terms of those years. That's how we're thinking of them, that's for sure. And then we also have then our rolling enrollment, and we want to be a school of choice for you, making sure that you stay with us. And then also our just different initiatives that we have throughout the state, and then also through K-12 Stride. So always at a focus. So the SEALs, let's talk about that a little bit here. Enrollment, employment, and also enlistment. It is our goal here at HCCA that all students will have the availability to graduate with any of these SEALs. Because we are a career and college prep school, we will focus on the employment seal first for our students because of the way that kind of our credits and also our pathways kind of fall into. And so that's where we're going to focus first. But we know that some students are going to be college bound, so we will talk about enrollment. And we know that some students and families are very into the enlistment in any of the branch of military. So there is an option for that as well. So the employment factor. As we look at employment, we have market-driven credentials. We have our career and technical classes in our pathway, and those are not changing. We have had those for a number of years. We're going to continue with those. We also have for the students an availability for them to get 150 hours of work, either in person, paid or unpaid. This could also be through simulations, different earned badges that they can earn through demonstrating their employability skills. So we're going through and doing a lot on our end to make sure that we have things in place for the students. And then we're still working and waiting sometimes for the state to give us some of those deliverables as far as what does it look like to demonstrate communication, collaboration, and work ethic. Those things will continue to roll out, but we already do have a plan in place for those through those work hours. And we already have, of course, meeting that attendance goal. So again, your student in classes does matter for us. So our goal is to have them begin their pathway classes in ninth or 10th grade year. And then we will continue to monitor and track any of those work hours that they might have year over year. If they are interested in taking it to the next level, they can level up into the Employment Plus seal. And the difference here is taking a look at the hours. The 650 hours seems like a lot. However, when we think about a student who is maybe focused or gets into an apprenticeship or gets into an internship, they are probably going to fulfill that without any problem. We also have a lot of opportunity across the state and now more industry jumping on board, ready to help support this initiative as well. So I don't foresee this becoming an issue as we move forward. We also are really pleased to announce this year we have some students who are going to be getting their technical certificate with Ivy Tech because they've gone through and gotten their dual credit in one of our pathways. They get 2 more classes for free right after into the summer, and it's called Crossing the Finish Line. And so they are actually going to be graduating with a technical certificate. So we're super excited about that, continuing to grow that opportunity as well. And then as we think about those that are going to be college bound, those that want to go to college, university, wherever in the state of Indiana, because they would maybe earn this seal, that does open them up to kind of passing, some other students who maybe want that enrollment for some of our state colleges. So we took a look at what classes can we specifically offer to make sure our students are taken care of. So 4 semesters of world language, 6 semesters of social studies. With the requirements that are in place, this is not out of the realm of possibility at all, and will not have them going any extra time, I promise. And then also completing 8 math semesters or 8 credits in there, and also then 6 science credits, and then earning a C or higher in all of their classes, or an overall average cumulative of a B average. And why, again, grades matter, and why we emphasize this with our students, because we want to make sure that we present this up front to them so that they know. And then over on the right-hand side here, we are offering, starting next year, some AP courses. So that way, when your student is ready for them into their sophomore and beyond year, then having US history as an AP option, and then also having an English option as well. And then possibly even by then, we'll have more available for them. We do have plenty of courses that are college credit within our pathway courses, and that's why we encourage all of our students to kind of start there so that they can begin earning those credits. And then, like I mentioned, your junior will be taking the SAT, and we do prep them in advance for that. So that way they're getting some test prep in homeroom. They're also getting test prep in both their English and their math classes in order to get them ready for this very important test that we have. And then if they want to take the enrollment into the next level or kind of level up, we have not only that technical certificate, we do have an opportunity to do some dual enroll. So some Indiana College Core opportunity as well. And then we would ask then for those enrollment to do 75 hours of work. And so again, we have this in place. We're ready to go for those. Then flipping over to the other side, the enlistment. We know that we have some students who are interested in going into any of the military branches. So one of their requirements would be to do Intro to Public Service, just a 1 semester course of that, get a little bit of information. And we know that some of these students might be more interested in some physical activity type of courses. We do not currently offer ROTC at our school because we are virtual, but we do want to make sure that we're offering some different things that would be available, like PE, advanced PE, health, and some other things like that for them. They would, instead of consider like focusing on the SAT as their score maker, we would want them to do the ASVAB. And so we would be starting to prep and coach them for that as well. And we would recommend those students, the students interested in enlistment, to go for criminal justice pathway or human and social services pathway, just so that way they're getting a little bit of the things that they may need in that particular industry focus. Now, to level up for this one, we would take a look at the ASVAB higher score needed here. Also, to taking a look at maybe the acceptance into one of the service academies. And I went ahead and listed those on the screen for you too. So across the nation, we have 5 different service academies that they possibly could get into, possibly for their focus for the branch of military that they're interested in. And then also to, instead of work related hours, it would be service related hours for them. So 100 service related hours. And we will help them track that. We will help them monitor. We will help them know kind of the ins and outs of good community service and how to do that safely as well. And some other options for them for completing that area would be, if they are in a travel sport, they can do 2 seasons of that. They could also hold a leadership role within their community as well, or even here in one of our extracurricular activities. So, over the course of the next 2, 3, 4 years, as we're kind of looking through all of these things, we're looking at how we have both our current diploma for our high schoolers, but then our 8th graders, as they're moving in, they're bringing in this new whole set of those seals and kind of what we're focused on. And then, Melissa, are we good here? Or do you want me to continue
I
on?
just for clear, if you're feeling like a little overwhelmed by this, because it is quite different than what we've done in the past, really the way that I've kind of come to grips and thought about it as is, for a long time there was this huge push where everybody had to go to college, everybody had to go to college. And then it led to all of these open trades that weren't being, there was no one to do those. And a lot of kids are more suited and they like those. And that's great. And that is, just as valuable as going to college. And so I think what you see here when Susan is saying CTE, that stands for Career Technical Education. So you're seeing that finally the government has kind of caught up with that, and the Department of Workforce Development has caught up with that. And so you're starting to see a shift in the balance of, yeah, that's good. Let's prepare them for college. Absolutely. But let's also give them these employability and these work skills. And that's what you see within these SEALs, is the SEALs are to balance that out, to let kids really specialize in what they're good at it and what they think they're going to want to go into in the future. And our job is to make sure that they're prepared to go into any of those. We have no preference in what your student wants to do in their future. We just want them to be successful. So we go out of our way to prepare them for any of those options. We focus on that employability one because we are a career prep school through Stride. And so when we're talking about those pathways, that's how we prepare them. Those are those career pathways that help prepare them to be employable when they graduate. So hopefully that kind of I know it is a lot. Hopefully that kind of ties it a little bit all together for everyone. Or it did in my mind, so. Does anybody have any questions so far? I know it's a lot to process, and we're going to send this out, and also the document that Susan shared with you. It's actually 1-pager front and back. The front is the current diploma, and then on the right side of the front is the future one that the 2029 class will go under. And then on the back is the information about those seals. So you'll be able to see all of this and kind of take a look at it at your leisure. Okay. Do you have any other slides, Susan?
I don't know if we want to go through each of the courses, do we want to do that? Or do you want me to give out the survey and then
I think we go with the survey.
Just gonna flip to the back side.
So what we wanted to do with the survey is we want to get our learning coaches very involved with what your student is doing next year when making that transition from an eighth grader to high school. So what Susan's going to throw in the chat here for you to click on is, and we'll also send this out via email as well. But it's a survey that you can go through with your student to kind of help determine what would be their preferences for classes next year. Obviously, some of them are kind of, you remember how this is, everyone. Some of them are set in stone, right? Like they're taking English 9. But we have some different options in there that give them a little bit of choice, which I think is pretty great. As a freshman, I don't remember having that choice. It was more like you're going to take this, this, and this. But there is a little bit of choice in there for them to start figuring out what's of interest to them. And so we would love for you to go through that with your student, and then we can use that to help create their schedule for next year. Our counselors will be doing that.
And on the form itself, it does have a place for you as the learning coach just to identify that it is you that's filling it out. And then also, if the student fills it out again, no worries. There's a spot for them to just simply mark that it's the student filling that out. So you can essentially fill it out twice, but really only one person needs to fill that out, either you or the student.
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm Rose and Tatiana Dishman's mom, and I would like to know, are they required to do the IXL, and would the IXL help them like with their levels of their English classes or their math classes? Because I saw quite a bit of math classes up there. I have a hard time reading it because I'm almost blind. So um, but I was curious because sometimes I'll tell them to do their IXL even now, and they're like, well, it's not required. Well, I need to know, is it required? Because clearly I think they should be doing it every day, regardless of what they do.
Yes, it is required. It's required for both math and English language arts.
All right. Should they be doing it every after every class or every day? What is the actual requirement?
So I would have to, if I'm being honest with you, Ms. Dishman, I would have to check on that. I know that it should be for each course at least one time a week, one for ELA and one for math, so a total of 2.
Okay. All right.
I can answer that a little bit also. So typically each teacher sets a goal. I know for the English language arts in 8th grade, the teacher sets forth what they're going to be working on, and it's more a reinforcement of what she's done in class. So she will assign a specific topic. In math, they're usually required to complete 2 objectives. And it's based on their level. So they take that pre-test, and with each thing they master, they move up. And so the kids don't really like that, because if you miss a question, it starts you back over. So you haven't completed it unless you've scored it 100% accurately. So they have to complete usually 2 topics per week, and they do receive a grade for that. So if they're not doing it, their grades are being lowered by just not completing that each week.
Thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
Mira, did you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Thank you so much. So you mentioned before about this work-based learning that they can have an option of getting 150 hours versus 650 hours. Well,
Mhm.
if you're connected in the community, like if I have connections in the community, I'm like, well, hey, I know my child likes fashion. I know this person. Can we be a connector so that our child can get this work-based learning? Or can we, how does the work-based learning work for what would count as those hours for those hours, that 150 versus the 650?
That's a great question. So here's the pickle, Miss Mira. The state has not really like clearly defined what exactly they will take and what they won't take. So right now, which this is kind of great in a way, we have a lot of latitude. So something like what you're describing would definitely count towards those 650 or 150 hours. What they don't want is well, one, you have to be able to prove it. So you'd have to be able to have someone who signed off that they did that, because as we know, sometimes people will say something is happening and it doesn't. So they require proof. And it doesn't necessarily have to be anything crazy. It may be that person speaking with our work-based learning specialist, or maybe just signing a form that those hours had been completed through them. So we have a work-based learning specialist who is going to be working with students to help them hopefully procure more of those internships and those opportunities like you're speaking about in the different areas around the state. And then that person would be responsible for helping keep track of those hours, helping keep track of um, the internships and that type of thing. But yes, we would love that. I mean, we love finding anybody to partner with that makes sense in different areas, because as you know, it's hard for us to be, since we are all over the state, we're constantly trying to develop different relationships in places maybe some of us have never been. So yeah, that would absolutely, I mean, I would love it if all of our parents were doing something like that to connect their student with something they're passionate about. That's exactly what these employment hours are about.
Okay, yeah, yeah. The individual I'm thinking of, she has an LLC, and yeah, she's legitimate, and she offers
Yeah.
one-on-one coaching and courses for specifically for youth. So that's what I was wondering. Thank you so much for that. I'm gonna reach out to her. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I have another question. I'm sorry.
You're fine. We love it.
Since I still technically live in Pike Township, do I have to send my girls to the Pike High School to get permission to work, or can they come
No,
through you guys? Because clearly I don't want to keep dealing with Pike.
that would come through us.
Okay. All right. Because the girls had told me that I would still have to take them to Pike High School, and I'm done with Pike.
Yeah, now that your students are with us, they have no more
Mhm.
affiliation with Pike. They are just technically their township school. So if you decided to go back, they would have to accept them back. But no, they don't. They no longer have any control over your child's education.
Thank you so very much. Because
You're
no, they will
welcome.
not be going back to Pike.
Good.
Also, I may be stepping on counselor's toes, I'm sorry, but if your children do work, save those pay stubs, because those are one of the ways you prove employability. So I know a lot of the kids, it's electronic for a lot of companies now, so they can just save those emails, don't delete them. But if it is a hard copy pay stub, just tuck it away. And then when it comes time to prove your hours, they can just hand those over. So I just wanted to share that in case they're getting summer jobs or whatever the case may be.
Well, and I think too, speaking to that, one of the great things I think that we have to offer is if your student is passing all of their classes, then they can elect to go on what's referred to as a flex schedule. And so that opens up more time for them to be able to work and to be able to do these internships and be able to get these hours. So if your student is doing what he or she or they are supposed to do in the classroom, then they can go on that flex schedule, and then that offers them more flexibility because they've proven that they're getting the job done, and then they can have more of these types of experiences and things that maybe they're more passionate about.
Okay, now my twins are 14. So
hmm
technically, where are they able to start a job this summer so that they're out and about and busy?
I'm not sure what I know maybe some like my stepdaughter works at a pool. And so she works at the concession stand there and she started working at 14, but I know a lot of people don't hire until they're 16. But I think that's just business by business. But I mean, no pressure. I'm not saying they need to get out and start working. I'm not saying that at all. We're just saying if they
Mhm.
are already, that to go ahead and save those. And then in the future, if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing in the classroom and getting those grades, then they can do that flex schedule. And we have some students who family necessity, they have babies, anything like that. Um, they get the grades that they need, and then they have that flex schedule to where they're able to have jobs that they need to support their families. So there's some options there. We obviously we always put education at the forefront because, that's our job. But if need be, we have the flexibility and they're doing what they need to do to be able to kind of work outside.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Okay, anybody have any other questions?
I have a question, please.
Absolutely.
My granddaughter is, I'm her learning coach. She's new to the school, so she's really enjoying it, by the way. Thank you.
Oh, good.
So, with her signing up for the freshman, do we need to pick one of these, the enrollment, the employment, or the enlistment? Is that how that needs to look, or?
No. So what we do is we put them in the classes that they need just for the diploma. And then as like she progresses and she like starts taking, so the principal's classes are kind of like the intro into the different types of pathways. So they get presentations about the pathways and like what all they entail, and then they get to choose like some principal courses that they want to go into to learn more about those. And so since all of our students go into a pathway, that means they're already on a great track to get the employment seal. But we also are preparing them to get the enrollment seal as well. And then if they have a passion for the military, then they can start working towards the enlistment seal. And that would be conversations that they would be having year over year with their counselor to kind of help determine as they're picking their classes what they're interested in. But as freshmen, they're doing kind of like a general survey. We don't expect them to really get into what pathway necessarily they want to go into until about their sophomore year when they have a better understanding of what it is that we offer and maybe a little more know a little more about themselves and what they're interested in.
Okay, well, that made more sense. I was gonna say, because she's
Yeah.
only 14 and they don't know.
I know. And I also, to speak to that, I also highly encourage students to take in their sophomore years, especially more than one principal's courses in different pathways that they may be interested in, just to get like a good idea of, because I was saying this too, like, I mean, you can't even drive yet, and you're supposed to determine what career you're interested in. But really, all of the career paths that we have are things that will teach them skills that they can be successful, like help them be successful later on in any field that they choose. It's more just proving that they have those employability skills, not necessarily the pathway that they choose.
Thank you so much.
I have one more question.
Oh, I love it. Go ahead.
Are the eighth graders going to have any type of graduation, or you guys
Yeah,
don't
so we are going to do we're going to do a virtual graduation. So what we are going to do next week at iLearn is we're going to have our site leads are going to be taking pictures of our eighth graders, and then we're going to submit those to one of our eighth grade teachers who's going to make like a slideshow, and the students are going to each have their own slide, and they're going to kind of talk about like, what they want to do in the future and that type of thing, and then we'll schedule that. And if we do have that during school hours, then what we'll do is we'll send it out. We'll send out an invitation for anybody who wants to attend, but for those who work during the day, we'll also send out the recording and the slideshow. So people, or the slide for that particular family. So you'll have that as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Anybody else?
I have one more question. This is Myra. Can
Okay. Oh, I said your
Um,
name wrong. I'm sorry, Myra.
no, you're okay. Everybody does.
50-50, Myra.
I know. It's one of those names. Um, okay, so with the work-based learning, just a clarifying question, even if they don't get paid for it, it would be considered an internship. Just have the
Yep,
person sign off on it. Okay.
absolutely.
Perfect. And the second question was, if you need volunteers for the graduation, I'm open to it. Because I definitely want to make sure my kid, has a good eighth grade thing. So if that's an opportunity too, I'll be willing to volunteer.
Oh, I appreciate that. That one, yes, that one we will do virtual. We do, our high school is in-person graduation, so that one's kind of a bit of the more traditional one. But I do very much appreciate that. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Well, we thank you very much for your time this evening. We know it's really fun to be in a meeting at 6 o'clock on a Thursday, so we understand that. We'll be sending out those documents to you. We're going to send out the 8th grade SMORE. So it's specific to 8th grade. So it'll have the documents and it'll have this PowerPoint presentation and all the contact information. Your students should have the same counselor for all 4 years. Well, hopefully now through graduation. So you'll be able to really hopefully form a good relationship with that person and reach out to her with any questions you have as well. All right, Susan, do you have anything else before we wrap up here?
No, we're just looking forward to your student joining us on the high school side.
All right. Thank you everyone so much. Have a great rest of your evening.